The finale is approaching. The Last of Us started at the beginning of the year, and since it's already spring outside, it's the perfect time to prepare for the finale of this mega epic show. 8 episodes have already pleased fans, so there is just one thing left to do. The final episode, called Look for the Light, will be released on March 13th. However, we already have something to discuss about it. What did Ellie's mother forget in the plot? How will the finale differ from the original? And where are the giraffes? So stock up on cocoa and cookies, and let's get started. Despite a significant time gap, our heroes are still heading towards the Fireflies to shelter Ellie and learn the secrets of her immunity. The group of rebels is located somewhere in Salt Lake City, which our heroes learned in the 6th episode at the University of Eastern Colorado. Therefore, in the first few seconds of the promo for the 9th episode, Ellie and Joel walk along the highway landscapes that strongly resemble game locations. By the way, in the original The Last of Us, events in Salt Lake City developed in the spring, several months after David's death, because our couple needed to cross half the country again to get to their destination. If we believe Google Maps, the distance between Silver Lake, where David lived with his people, and Salt Lake City, where the Fireflies are located, is approximately 1,800 kilometers, and our heroes need to overcome all this distance on their own, which will clearly take more than a month. However, someone attacks the heroes on approach. This is a very interesting moment, considering that in the game, after a series of epic moments, the Fireflies also found Joel's trail, but as reasonable people, they first wanted to know what the stranger needed, rather than throwing a grenade at anyone they met. Therefore, in theory, the grenade from the trailer could belong to someone else. Otherwise, Joel and Ellie will be forced to go on the offensive, thereby killing several Fireflies and automatically turning the guys against them. The other moments in the trailer are much more interesting. For example, a girl running somewhere in the deep thickets. From the back, the silhouette slightly resembles Ellie, however, only at first glance. The hair looks slightly different, the clothes and the location doesn't match our Lyanna Mormont, who according to all forecasts should be with Joel right now. But then, who is it? The answer comes to us a little later, in another fragment closer to the middle of the promo of the 9th episode. The girl in the same clothes and with the same hair is on the verge of death. Before us is actress Ashley Johnson, who gave Ellie her voice, and it is her intonations that the character speaks in the game. Moreover, even before the start of the season, it became known that Johnson had received the role of the Ellie's mother in the adaptation, a character who had previously been in the game's storyline. Therefore, we draw a couple of simple conclusions. Firstly, in the series, Ashley Johnson looks even more like Ellie. At the same time, there is even some similarity between the actress and not the game model of the girl, but with actress Bella Ramsey. In addition to this, you can notice Ellie's favorite clothes, sneakers and a military jacket, which the girl often wore in the game sequel. These can be interpreted as a kind of hint that this is indeed the mother of the main character, and they are very similar. Secondly, the girl is clearly pregnant, and most likely, in this small flashback, she will give birth to Ellie. Earlier, we speculated that the secret to the girl's immunity lies with her mother, who may have been bitten late in her pregnancy and thus passed a harmless part of the cordyceps to Ellie. Therefore, when the girl was bitten by new spores many years later, her body simply didn't react in the usual way, because Ellie's body was already infected with the fungus. But whether this is true or not, we will only find out on Monday. Honestly, we would sincerely like to be wrong, because the idea of immunity or ability being passed down from a pregnant mother is already a worn-out cliché. But where does this flashback come from? According to canon, Ellie didn't even know her mother, so someone else must reveal the secret of her immunity to her. Here comes Marlene, the leader of the Boston Fireflies, who will already be waiting for Joel and Ellie in Salt Lake City. It would be foolish to assume that they will introduce another previously unknown hero, some secret friend of Ellie's mother, who will tell us about the woman's last moments. From the Left Behind game expansion, we learned that Marlene knew Ellie's mother and they were friends. Ellie's mother was a nurse, thus some part of the series will be devoted to the past, and in reality, this somewhat breaks the logic of the original storyline. We have a girl who is the only one in the world to have been bitten by an infected cordyceps and not turned, and that's why it was so important to deliver her to those mythical fireflies, who supposedly could find a cure for for the disease, but what the series has shown us so far is extremely different from the game settings. First of all, it is worth remembering the female scientist from the second episode, who, as a professional with years of experience, immediately stated that there is simply no treatment or vaccine due to the peculiarities of the cordyceps fungus. We have already mentioned this point and don't understand how HBO will get out of this trap. In other words, according to the scriptwriter's plan, viewers should believe that Fireflies has a full-fledged laboratory with a lot of top-of-the-line equipment and specialists who not only survived but also didn't lose their skills and knowledge over the past 20 years. This once again doesn't match the statement about the need for bombing and the absence of treatment as such. But if Marlene really knows that Ellie gained immunity from her pregnant mother's bite, then the logic of the plot surrounding the Great Salvation Plan from the disease collapses completely. So if in the games there was no mention of Ellie's mother and the mystery of her immunity remains unexplained, although there are various fan theories, then in the series, one of the top dogs at the Fireflies will know about Ellie's unique situation and that such a scenario cannot be repeated. With this in mind, it seems that they would need to kill every pregnant woman after injecting them with cordyceps. Yes, the child in this case would grow up immune, and many years later, the world would be cleansed as the infected would no longer pose a threat to the new generation. But this is pure idiocy. Formally, the planet will become overpopulated with men, old people and young women without children, because every poor girl will be forced to die during childbirth. In general, everything is leading to the conclusion that the theory about Ellie's mother being infected is nonsense, and we need some other explanations or some other circumstances that would allow us to reconsider this theory in favor of logic. And of course, in the promo for the 9th episode, there are plenty of other important scenes with Joel that we won't be discussing right now, because it's an extremely crucial scene, and essentially it's a key moment in the entire plot of the first The Last of Us, which means it's a huge spoiler. Those who played the original game know perfectly well what will happen in the finale. As for everyone else, let it be a surprise. We have repeatedly talked about the duality of the heroes in The Last of Us, and the 9th episode will present a whole pile of moral dilemmas for you to reconsider your attitude towards certain characters. By the way, if you were paying attention, then in the promo of the 8th episode, there was already a fragment from the very end of the episode. So there is no point in expecting a different ending to the first season. Neil Druckmann and his team were right not to change the strongest emotional moment and replace it with a different storyline. What we haven't noticed in the promo yet though are the giraffes. In the original game, on the way to Salt Lake City, the heroes came across a real miracle and were even able to pet the adorable giraffes. However, the promo for the 9th episode is structured in such a way that it seems like we are almost immediately teleported to Salt Lake City, where the heroes are attacked by fireflies, throwing a grenade at them. A small scuffle ensues, but the heroes quickly find common ground, explaining that they are from Marlene and looking for fireflies. In the middle of the episode, we will finally see Marlene, who will tell us about Ellie's mother's past and her mysterious secret, and then the plot will come to a conclusion with a more peaceful atmosphere. From this clearly planned, tense plot, peacefully stomping giraffes fall out, which literally touched the heart of every player who once played the first The Last of Us. And we will be truly disappointed if HBO doesn't include this fragment, as it once again demonstrated the connection between Ellie and Joel in the game, and how these two grew closer during their journey. The series The Last of Us turned out to be an unexpected find for geeks all over the world. At first, we didn't even believe that HBO would be able to handle the challenging task of adapting this great game. There were questions about the casting of actors for the streaming service, but over time they all disappeared. After all, the plot itself turned out to be fiercely good. And now, for 8 weeks, the magnificent return of beloved characters has delighted us. Will the finale be such that we can talk about it for weeks? Well, we'll find out on Monday. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. See you in the next one.